Hi, and welcome to Community Church. My name is Reverend Dale Brown, and I welcome you during this Advent season for a brief morning devotional. I love Christmas pageants. I love seeing the little children participate, even as I participated so long ago. So let me tell you a story about a Christmas pageant. There was a little boy who had some challenges in his life. And he desperately wanted to be in the Christmas pageant. He prepared for it, and he was the first one at church to sign up, and the first one at practice, that first practice they had, he and Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones was conducting the Christmas pageant, and he asked her right away if he could be Joseph. And since this young man had special challenges and his family wasn't always at church and often he wasn't clean or presentable, she thought for herself and to herself, and she said, maybe there's another part. Remember, Joseph has to carry the manger, and that's a heavy thing, and you're not really big enough to do that yet. So he went away dejected, and he sat down on the pew, and he kind of shifted his legs back and forth. You know how kids kick their legs when they're not happy and don't know what quite to do or say. And the thought came to him, well, if I can't be Joseph, the father of Jesus, maybe I could be a wise man. And he went to talk to Mrs. Jones again, and she said, I'm really sorry. We already have 3 wise men. It's the Smith brothers, and they always do it. And they've got the crowns from Burger King, and they've got the robes that they can wear. Thanks for offering, but maybe next year. And now he was really down because he had so desperately wanted to be a part of this pageant. And a third time he went to her, he said, could I please be a shepherd? He says, the shepherds kept the sheep, and I would make a great shepherd. And again, she said, no. There are other people who are ahead of you in line. So he thought to himself for just a moment. He said, I really want to do this. And so he went up to her one more time and he said, Mrs. Jones, can I please have some part in the Christmas pageant? And she thought for a moment. She said, I've got just the part for you. Says, you can be the innkeeper. And they will come to your door and they'll knock on your door. And you'll swing open the door and say, go away. I'm sorry. There's no room at the inn. And he thought he could do that. And that kind of excited this little boy. And so he went to the mirror and he practiced his line. Go away. I'm sorry. There's no room at the inn, over and over and over again. And he was definitely prepared. And it came the night of the pageant. And he thought to himself, I am so ready. I've practiced. And the little pageant began. And all the cute children, the small children, sang songs and acted like sheep and did all the things that little children do at Christmas. And it came time to when it was his turn, along with the others, to do the Christmas play, the Christmas pageant. And so Joseph and Mary, a very pregnant Mary, came to the door and they knocked on the door. And at that time, the little boy, the innkeeper, was overwhelmed with emotion. And he was supposed to fling open the door and say, go away, I'm sorry, there's no room at the inn. But instead, he waited and he thought. And Mrs. Jones and the other persons leading the Christmas pageant whispered out loud, you know how it is sometimes, tell him to go away, I'm sorry, there's no room at the inn. And he waited and he waited and he waited, and for what seemed like forever. And Joseph knocked again. And the little boy flung open the door. And he said, I'm sorry, there's no room at the inn, but Jesus can have my room if he wants it. When we think about Christmas, and we think about this chestnut Christmas story illustration, we're reminded that we're called to open our rooms, our hearts, our lives to Jesus. This little boy was told to turn the Savior away. but instead he welcomed Christ. I'm sorry. There's no room at the inn, but Jesus can have my room if he wants it. How often do we say that to God? Give it a try today. Open your heart and life to the Savior born in Bethlehem.